Hello and welcome to today's episode. We're going to be taking a look at 5 classics and hidden gems that are trapped on the PlayStation 3. Now when I say trapped on PlayStation 3, I mean just that. The only way you're natively going to play these is on your PlayStation 3. Now there is a Vita port of one of these, I'll mention it when we get to it, but other than that, that's the only way you're playing these because there's no re-releases. The only other exception that I don't really count is streaming through PlayStation Plus. It is a half-baked and lazy effort on Sony's part preserving their legacy by putting these things behind a paywall and a streaming service. I highly disagree with it. It is inferior to playing it on native hardware, even on your PlayStation 5. With that being said, let's get to our first title. And the first title on our list is going to be Tekken Tag Tournament HD. Originally released on the PlayStation 2 as a launch title in 2000, and then remastered and included with Tekken Hybrid in 2011. Before we get to Tekken Tag Tournament, let's talk about some of the other features on this Tekken Hybrid disc. It's actually rather cool, especially if you're a Tekken fan. First, you have the Tekken Blood Vengeance CGI movie. It's actually a rather impressive looking movie. It's not considered canon at this point, so it's just for fun. But as a Blu-ray movie, it actually looks really nice. Very, very good bitrate. It's one of the better looking Blu-rays I've seen. And because it's a Blu-ray disc, you pop it into any Blu-ray player, it'll play the movie. It also has a 3D option if you have a 3D setup, that is. The movie's not exactly incredible. It's fairly entertaining, pretty cheesy, but if you're a Tekken fan, you'll get a kick out of it. So then you have the Tekken Tag Tournament 2 demo, which clearly they set up to play after watching the movie, so you can play as Lin Xiaoyu and Alyssa after watching them in the movie, as well as a few other characters. So it's only 4 characters total. It's a very brief demo, but it's a way to get a taste of the game. Now the most important part of this package is Tekken Tag Tournament HD, which is a HD remaster of Tekken Tag Tournament that was a PlayStation 2 launch title, and it's one of the greatest fighting games ever made. Now my favorite Tekken is Tekken 3, but Tekken Tag Tournament is right there with it. I kind of paired them both together because they're kind of tied in my mind. And this HD remaster looks really great and it runs fantastic. It is as good as you could ever hope for on PS3. A nice bonus to the whole thing is that everything comes unlocked from the moment you start, all the characters and endings and so on. And that's something I always loved about Tekken 3 and Tekken Tag Tournament are all of the different endings, even though a lot of them are just kind of goofy or not that big of a deal, but I always appreciated that. The intro to Tekken Tag is absolutely awesome. I remember how mind-blowing it was when I first saw it. Now, it may not be quite as masterclass as Tekken 3 in that regard, but it's really good. The music is also fantastic. Just the intro song alone is epic. That was the funny thing about PlayStation 2 back in the day. PlayStation 2 had some of the best video playback of all the consoles, even the Xbox. I don't know what it was, just more often than not, if a game had full motion video on PS2, it was the best looking of the bunch. I would say a good example of that would be Final Fantasy X, which had phenomenal full motion video sequences. Really, there was nothing like that on Xbox. Xbox excelled at real-time graphics. For some reason, pre-rendered stuff, PlayStation 2 was king. And I have to mention Tekken Bowling. It's so much fun, and it's so well made, especially just as an extra mode, and every character has their own feel to them. So you kind of figure out what characters suit you, and you play with friends, and you're laughing and carrying on. When I was a kid, we played it all the time. And I do miss that about fighting games from the 90s and early 2000s. They had all this extra stuff in them that made them really fun. Rival Schools, Tekken 3, and so on. Now, ultimately, the core gameplay is a fighting game, and it's absolutely fantastic at it. Tekken Tag Tournament is one of the greatest Tekkens ever made, and it's a phenomenal 2v2 tag team fighter. Which is crazy because it was traditionally a 1v1 fighter for many years all the way up into this one. So the fact that they seamlessly went to 2v2 and did it so well is crazy. The roster in this game is easily one of the greatest of all fighting game history. Personal favorites of mine are Paul Phoenix, Jun Kazama, Lei Wulong, the list goes on. But what's funny for me, the reason I'm attached to Jun Kazama and Lei Wulong is because those were the 2 characters you could play in the Tekken 2 demo on PlayStation 1, and I've been playing them ever since then, so I can always pick up and play these 2 and remember most of their moves. So many characters to learn and master, so many moves to pull off. The arcade mode is a blast, playing with friends is a blast. The tag element really added a layer of depth to the fighting because you're able to switch back and forth between your characters anytime you please. But one little thing that I've always loved in the arcade mode in Tekken Tag is the Deathblow recap of all the replays till the very end. I always loved that ever since I was a kid. I just love seeing all those final hits I did all in a row. For me, things like that, they should always put in cool fighting games. Funny enough, the first fighting game I ever saw do it was Virtua Fighter. You would see yourself doing the moves that you did all throughout the tournament during the credits rolling. I always thought that was so cool as a kid. So Tekken Tag Tournament is one of the greatest fighting games of all time, one of the greatest launch titles of all time. It was a beautiful game when it first came out on PS2. Remember how mind-blowing it was, and it looks even better on PlayStation 3. It looks really sharp, it runs really great. It is absolutely worth picking up Tekken Hybrid for just this game. So Tekken Tag Tournament HD Edition, absolutely worth checking out on PlayStation 3. And the next game on our list is going to be White Knight Chronicles, released in Japan in 2008 and then released in the West in 2010. Now, the reason you saw White Knight Chronicles 2 is because the first game is included on the disc of this game, so you're able to play them both back to back off of the singular game, which is very nice. It's the most up-to-date version of the first game, which is very convenient because you're able to actually transfer your character from the first game right into the second game and continue the story, very similar to Mass Effect. Right as you start the game, you're able to create your character from scratch in a rather robust character creation mode. I was really impressed by it. Because I'm 6'3", in order for me to make my character as tall as me, I had to start with the giant body type, which was pretty funny, and then I'm towering over all the characters in game, so it's really quite a bit of fun. Now, the funny thing about White Knight Chronicles, it doesn't play the way you expect it to. So when you create your character, you are actually not the main character. You're merely a silent avatar rather than a silent protagonist. The main character is actually Leonard and his childhood friend Yuli. So it's actually really cool how you, as your avatar, are along for the ride and you're experiencing everything from the sidelines. So it makes it where all the main story beats and dialogue are actually able to be fleshed out with other characters rather than you just being some silent protagonist. I think it's a really refreshing idea. And if you feel so inclined, you're able to do like I did, and you can take your avatar, put it in the front of the party, and that's who you're running around as well as primarily fighting as. So that's all cool. I really appreciated this. I think it's an interesting twist on the formula. Now, as a vertical controls player, I did discover an error, so do the following if you want it to be like I have it. So if you want your horizontal to be normal, but you want your vertical to be inverted, you have to do it the opposite in the settings. Put the horizontal in inverted and put the vertical on normal, and the controls will come out right. It's simply a mistake on the developer's part. It's kind of switched around. In terms of the game's graphics, as an early generation PS3 game, it's a rather solid looking game with really good art direction. It reminds me of Final Fantasy XII and Dragon Quest VIII a little bit, which is pretty cool because it takes me back to that era, so I felt nostalgic playing it. In terms of performance, yeah, the frame rate could not be the best and there's some screen tearing, but it's just kind of the era. It's nothing surprising. There was not very many games that ran super smooth in those days. When it comes to the battle system, it's more like Final Fantasy XII and less like Dragon Quest VIII, so it's not turn-based, it's more of an action RPG style where you're fighting in real time. So it's a bit of a hybrid action RPG style battle system, which is quite fun. But what I really appreciated about this is the fact that you have all the different weapon types from the start, so you're able to make your avatar into whatever you like. So let's say you want your avatar to be like an archer, or an axe wielder, or a two-handed sword wielder. Whatever the case, you're able to make your avatar into anything you like in combat, which is very cool. As well as the other characters, it's highly customizable. And customization is a big word in the combat here. You really are able to make each and every character and all their different types of commands and all their movesets any way you like. So it's a really robust and detailed system that's actually handled very well. An additional feature that I really liked is you can actually create combos. So when you have the points for it, you initiate a combo, and then you continuously press the attack button in the right sequence in order to keep the combo going. It's really cool that you can customize this. I've never really seen that in an RPG before. So the entire combat system is really well put together. I'm very impressed by this. I was actually having a really good time just roaming around fighting and leveling up my characters early. The voice acting is rather solid here, charming characters, I like their designs. There's a lot more abilities you're able to use once you gain the power of the White Knight with Leonard. There's a lot to do here, epic battles, interesting characters. I really enjoyed checking out White Knight Chronicles. It's a very solid RPG, and the fact that you have two games in one and they're back to back and they connect to each other. So this is absolutely a must-own for PlayStation 3 enthusiasts. It's a really cool RPG. So White Knight Chronicles 2, which includes the first one, I highly recommend you check it out. It's a fantastic way to own and play these games on your PlayStation 3. And the next game on our list is going to be Full Auto 2 Battlelines, released for the PlayStation 3 in 2006. Interesting little piece of history with this franchise, the first Full Auto title was actually an Xbox 360 exclusive, and then this one became a PlayStation 3 exclusive, which you really don't see very often. In comparison to other games, the best way I can describe Full Auto as a series, if you were to take Twisted Metal and Burnout and just mash them together. It is a lot of fun, it's super intense, it's not perfect, but I do recommend it. Immediately I was impressed with the graphics of the game. It has a really nice and sharp image quality, really cool looking tracks and environments, highly detailed car models that look fantastic in the menus. It almost didn't look like a PlayStation 3 game. Lots of colors to choose from, as well as many weapons to equip, hence the Twisted Metal reference. Now there is a cost to all of the chaos and the good graphics and the detail because the frame rate bogs down really bad. Essentially, they took a frame rate be damned approach because they didn't want to compromise on their vision of the detail and chaos, but, well, that is the price you pay. So it can be pretty tough to get through at times because it bogs down pretty bad. But it's absolutely worth it though. This game is a lot of fun and there's a lot to do. The game is very challenging. What you want to do is as you're going through the missions and you're accomplishing tasks that seem super difficult, pretty much you want to earn better vehicles and weapons, and you kind of come back and revisit these segments, finish them in order to unlock more content. Otherwise, you're going to drive yourself crazy trying to be perfect and accomplish these tasks in order to unlock more stuff. An additional feature you have at the cost of turbo energy is the ability to rewind time, which can be very useful as a tool. Another franchise you could compare to somewhat is Destruction Derby along with Twisted Metal because you're able to race around an arena and fight each other with your weapons and ramming into each other and everything else in between. It's a lot of fun. I'm not saying the story and the campaign is compelling or anything, but it is a pretty robust campaign mode for a racing game. It's really satisfying to take out other drivers with your weapons, whether it be grenades you're dropping out the back or machine guns or shotgun. You really figure out what weapons work best for you as well as the different car models. Whether it be the heavier truck where you're able to kind of ram things a little better, the sports car, or even a police unit. Another franchise worth mentioning is MotorStorm because it has a similar flair to that as well. So if you're a fan of Twisted Metal, Burnout, MotorStorm, you like crazy chaos and racing and debris and destruction and madness, you can't go wrong with Full Auto 2 on PS3. It's really great, and also the first one, which is very much the same way. Now to be fair, there is a PSP version of the game, but that is very different from this port. So Full Auto 2, it's still only on PS3 to this day. It's really fun, you should check it out. And the next title on our list is going to be Starhawk, released for the PlayStation 3 in 2012. So Starhawk is actually the third entry in the Warhawk franchise that goes all the way back to PlayStation 1. Then in 2007 they came out with another entry, but that's a multiplayer only game because they scrapped the single player mode that they wanted to implement, but then by the time Starhawk came out, they were finally able to actually put in a campaign mode, but it's rather short at only 6 to 8 hours long. Even with it being rather short, it's still very interesting to check out because the mechanics in this game are very ambitious for the time. Now clearly the ambitious mechanics and engine were meant for multiplayer, which I'm sure it was a lot of fun. Let us know in the comments if you had fun with it, or even the 2007 Warhawk. But due to the servers being shut down, obviously multiplayer is pretty much non-existent. So at least with the campaign, we're still able to tap into the ambitious mechanics of the game, which are rather cool. In my mind, it would actually be really cool to bring this franchise back, but with a bigger focus on the single player aspect and actually have an epic campaign, because it would be a lot of fun. Especially if you added co-op and it felt like a full-fledged Gears of War co-op experience, that would be really sick. Now, kind of like White Knight Chronicles, the frame rate here is fairly spotty. It gets the job done. It's not terrible, but it's just of the time, so don't expect a buttery smooth frame rate or anything. While the graphics are definitely very good, what makes the game really impressive and actually pretty jaw-dropping at times are the things that you're able to do in real time. So when you're on foot, which is actually very impressive feeling third-person shooting, and the weapons in this feel really nice. I really like the AR, and the shotgun is fantastic. As the game progresses, it turns into somewhat of a tower defense mode where you're able to call in structures and turrets and different things in real time. It's really intuitive and very ambitious. So you can really be creative with how you're approaching this sandbox style combat. The open sandbox style maps are very impressive. I was really impressed by the fact that I had these snipers giving me trouble and I was trying to figure out how to deal with them. I ended up wrapping all the way around a mountain, going up on top, and I got a vantage point. I was able to take them out from range. The fact that it just let me do that kind of gave me that battle royale feel a little bit. So it was really ahead of its time. The super ambitious element in this, though, is the ability to go from ground to air in real time. You have these really cool mech suits that can either walk around, you actually fight with them, or it can instantly transform into a jet, and it's really awesome. And the flight combat is very good. That's what makes this game super ambitious and really cool. One minute you're on the ground, you're building things, you're fighting back hordes, and the next minute you're flying around with aerial combat, and then you land on the ground again with your mech suit. I mean, it's just all over the place, but in the best way. And it does have a co-op aspect to it. I wasn't able to test that out or anything, but I'm sure it's a lot of fun. Now, I'll be totally honest, you can easily find this game for cheap, and that really helps because it is a short campaign. This isn't even really a full game because the multiplayer isn't there anymore. But if you can find it for like $10 or less, it's absolutely worth checking out. So Starhawk on PlayStation 3, it's not the biggest game in the world at this point because the multiplayer is not there anymore, but it's still worth checking out. It's a pretty interesting campaign mode with really ambitious mechanics, and it inspired me to kind of want something like this in 2025, something new where they could bring it back but give it more budget and ambition. It would be really cool. So Starhawk on PlayStation 3, you should check it out. And before we get to our last title, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment on the video. I'm excited to hear from you all. And finally, we have God of War HD Remaster. Originally released on the PlayStation 2 in 2005 and then remastered on the PlayStation 3 in 2009. So God of War has always been that series that I've been late to the game for. So I played a demo of it back in the day when it was new and I liked it, but I didn't fully invest in it until I bought this God of War Saga set. And then that was actually the first time I fully beat God of War was this HD remaster, and I really enjoyed it. This is yet another remaster that Bluepoint has done, and they did a very good job here. It looks really sharp, and it runs at a much improved frame rate over the PS2 original. Now, it's not a locked 60 frames per second, but it is rather consistent. Overall, it's much better. Until they come out with some proper native remaster or re-release, this is the definitive way to play God of War. Now, like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, this is the game that has a PlayStation Vita port. This God of War Saga collection is also on PlayStation Vita, which is a solid way to play it, but I'm mainly talking about the PlayStation 3 complete port here. Although Devil May Cry had already pushed the envelope and set a lot of standards in hack and slash high-octane action games back in the day, God of War definitely added its own flavor to it. This engine that was built for the ground up on PlayStation 2 was always a really solid engine. It also powers up Twisted Metal Black and War of the Monsters. And God of War really pushed this engine when it first came out. Tons of enemies on screen, massive bosses. Along with Resident Evil 4, this is one of the earlier games to have quick-time action events, but it actually worked well for this game. It's really intense and a lot of fun. It keeps you on your toes during combat and even cutscenes. The combos and moves in this are fantastic. There's a lot to unlock and level up. Various magic attacks that help you progress to the levels as you go through the game. If you love Greek mythology and those settings and eras, I mean, well, you can't go wrong here. God of War thrives on it. Funny enough, it turns out while in the middle of making this video, God of War's 20th anniversary just happened. So the timing ended up being pretty perfect to talk about this game because it really is a classic and it's worth celebrating. And just a fantastic series overall. I really want to make it a point to go back and play all of them chronologically. And honestly, as I do that, I want to show more of them on the channel. The PSP remasters are really great. Of course, God of War 2 is fantastic, so there's more to come. And especially if you're just a PlayStation 2 fan and you love God of War, there's just nothing like going back and revisiting this game, and it really does play great on PS3. It really is unfortunate they haven't natively resurrected this on PlayStation 5. The only way you can play this is through streaming, which of course, like I said in the beginning, I do not like. It's inferior to playing it natively. I honestly and truly reject streaming as a method of preserving these classic games. I really want to send a message to Sony. This is not acceptable. It's not good enough. Give us what we want and give us native releases. It's just lazy otherwise and a waste of time. They did this with Resistance Fall of Man recently, where they put it on streaming and they were bragging about it as if they did something. They didn't accomplish anything. It's a waste of time, and we need to let Sony know it's not good enough, especially if you really care about getting the titles that you want brought back. Now, if you want to talk about it in the comments, let us know if you disagree, and if you think streaming is fantastic and awesome, then go ahead and talk about it, but you already know my position. So that was 5 PlayStation 3 games that are stuck on PlayStation 3 that are absolutely worth revisiting in 2025. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching up to this point. Please like and subscribe. God bless and take care.